Evil Eye's just like us, y'all. Hey everyone, welcome to Princess Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to episode 10 of Dan Season 2. And last time we got not Gigi. I was gonna say Gigi, then I was gonna say Okaroon for some fucking reason. Evil Eye. We got Evil Eye kind of redeemed, kind of not. He's not going to attack anyone. We know that, at least, outside of Okaroon. Because Okaroon managed to get through to him and make a way to get them to fight, but no one else. He basically tricked him into being like, oh, you're weak, I'm strong. And Evil Eye's like, no, I'm strong, I want to fight you, it's fun to fight you. And so they made a deal where it's like, okay, you can fight me, but only me. You're not allowed to fight anyone else. You're not allowed to attack anyone else. We fight one day a week. And Evil Eye ended up agreeing to it. And so we even see when Evil Eye comes out while Gigi is going to school with Momo, he doesn't attack anyone. He just enjoys some juice, tries to figure out how to write, and, is a little bit of a nuisance, but he doesn't attack anyone. It is interesting, him, like, completely changing personalities, and for everyone else who can't see him, like, physically change, seeing that he's, just completely different suddenly, it's really interesting as a concept. Um, and the fact that he's like shouting about like annihilating humanity and all. Um, this is definitely the path to redeeming him, though, because we see like again, as I've stated in the past, as we know from his backstory and everything, he's literally just a kid. Evil Eye was a literal child who was locked away in a shed, unable to play with other kids, and then literally burned at the stake by those fucking assholes, the Keto clan. And after being burned at the stake, he tried to, as a spirit, connect to other kids, but it just ended up leading to accidental tragedy. And he ended up fusing with this one kid who was accidentally led to tragedy through, the spirit shenanigans. And they ended up, like, becoming enraged at humanity for everything that was going down, for everything that humanity had done to them and to others, and basically just made them a vengeful spirit. But that vengeance is built out of pain, out of sorrow. It's like this is a genuinely traumatized child who's lashing out because he doesn't know what else to do. He doesn't know how else to handle things. He never got taught how to properly handle his emotions. And that's really fucked, honestly. That is excessively fucked. And we see now, like, when he goes to school and everything, like, he gets to play soccer, he gets to enjoy some, like, delicious juice. And he's even getting to, like, experience, like, lunchroom food and writing and stuff. And he's not understanding it completely, and he's having a hard time with, like, chopsticks and all. But he's learning, and he's getting to experience life, and I think that's what's going to help him. I think that's what's going to help him connect with Gigi, but also be redeemed in the end. Getting to experience this this wholesome, like, general life stuff is going to allow him to heal from all of his pain. And that's honestly like a big deal. And I was one who was like wanting him and Gigi to connect and everything. I was surprised that this had been going on for so long. Like, this entire season up to this point has just been about Evil Eye and Gigi. And that's continuing off of last season already. Like, we had the couple episodes from last season that started this all, and then like 9 episodes of this season has just been about that. This has been a pretty, it's technically been, I think, like 2 different arcs, but it's been pretty long as an ongoing narrative point for this series compared to what kind of stuff happened in season 1 and how long that took to resolve things. This has been the longest to resolve part. And at first I wasn't a fan of this because, like I said, I thought like Gigi and him were going to connect a lot easier, but it just kept going. But actually now I think it was the right move because it's indicative of a few things, obviously. But the biggest thing of note is that we are touching on childhood trauma with this. That's what this is about, childhood trauma. And childhood trauma can absolutely stick with you. It's not something you just get over. And so to have it continue to like be a problem until the traumatized child is able to find a way to direct his emotions, his negative emotions, in a more healthy way. It's like, I think that's the right way to handle this because it feels like it's really touching on this subject. And that, I think, is definitely like more meaningful than if he were just redeemed quickly. Because again, it's not even complete at this point still. And I think that's like realistic for trauma, and especially childhood trauma. So yeah, and this show obviously has done a lot with thematic elements before. It's not the first time, it won't be the last. Like, but again, they've all been resolved like in a very short time comparatively. The stuff with like Ira and Acro Silky and everything, even to a degree with Turbo Granny and whatnot. It's been resolved a lot quicker with previous examples. And so now we come into this, and it's taking so long. And that's what threw me off. But with what the subject material is, it makes sense and honestly needed to be this long. So it's like my opinion on kind of how this season had been going has notably changed. But I'm also glad that we are moving on from that. And that brings me to what I want to talk about next before we get this started. I missed the post credit scene from last time because I didn't know it was going to be a thing. And when I was looking at the runtime, when I was about to end the video or to stop the episode in the reaction, I didn't think there was enough time left for an end credit scene. It looked like there wasn't enough time. So I just kind of assumed, and I know that's a me thing. I know that's my problem, but I didn't think there was one. And I know there's not one this week. I was already told there is not a post-credit scene this week. But I was debating on what to do. Did I want to watch the post-credit scene on my own time? Did I want to like do it at the beginning of this reaction? And I've decided I'm just not going to react to it. And I have 2 reasons for this. One, I made my bed, I'm going to lie in it. I don't know if it's needed to be watched or if it's going to be like, reiterated in this episode. A lot of times when you have a post-credit scene, especially if it's important to where it's going to go next, the next episode will like show it again, basically, to some degree. Um, but not only am I just gonna stick with my mistake, um, the second reason I'm not going to react to it here is because I feel like I feel like if it was like really important, I would have been told. I like I mean, outside of just being told like, oh, I missed the post credit scene. If it was really really important, I feel like people would have told me it was really important. And I guess I guess like it probably is going to lead into this next arc. Oh Jesus. It's probably going to lead into this next arc, and I'm sure it's like relevant, but I feel like it's going to be something that I'll be able to just continue on without needing to see. Otherwise, I feel like there would have been a lot more. I would have been like, I would have gotten more comments or more dire like warnings, like, oh, you need to watch this. Because I think I've been told about that before with other shows and stuff. It's like, oh, this end credit was like really important. You need to go back and watch this. I believe I've been told that before about things. And here it's just like, oh, you just missed an end credit, by the way. It didn't feel urgent to me, so yeah, I'm gonna stick with my mistake here. I'm going to own up to it, but I'm gonna stick with it. And I'm going to not only just stick with it, I'm going to do this as a way of like acknowledging that it's probably not that big a deal, and anything that would be needed to gone into with it will probably be shown in this episode anyway. They'll probably either show it again or it'll just be self-explanatory. Um, we'll see. But I'm interested to get into this episode, so let's check it out and hope for the best. Hold up just a sec. Before you click that link down in the description below to get to today's video, I want to remind you of all the awesome content we have both on this channel and the Princess of Gaming channel. Let's check it out. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So I decided to go back and check out the post-credits of the last episode after all, and it was just the scene where Kinta talks to Okrun at his desk for the first time. It's literally shown again in this. It's not a big deal that I missed it. In fact, I actually think it's better that I missed it. I think it was better to have the surprise of going into this episode and seeing Kinta for the first time here. Being surprised by his introduction at the beginning of this episode. I think that actually ended up working out better. Because it allowed me to have, I feel like, an unbiased view of him before, like, or with his introductory episode. I feel like if I had seen the post-credit sequence from last episode, like, I probably would have, like, been theorizing on, like, oh, what does he mean by, like, my enemy? What is he, like, what is his deal with Okarun? I would have been, like, really thinking about it, and would have, like, maybe clouded my view of him going into this episode a little bit. Like, I might have been, like, thinking, like, oh, he's maybe a little weird, maybe he's a little bit of a, not an antagonist, but like a problem or something. I don't know. I don't know. The point is, it could have affected my view on him throughout this episode. Experiencing him naturally through the events of this allowed me to, like, enjoy him better, I guess is a way to put it. And I definitely enjoyed him. So, obviously, I have to talk about Kinta here before anything else. I already really like Kinta. Like, great first impressions. And I feel like he's the kind of character that is going to be very divisive in the fandom, whether the original manga readers or the anime onlys. I feel like Kinta is a character who's probably going to elicit some annoyance from some fans. Because the problem is that there are people out there who find this kind of, like, eager to please type of character as annoying. But I can't see him that way. Because he's me. Like, I cannot tell you the amount of times I have said awkward, stupid stuff trying to impress or connect with someone. And it's actually one of the biggest reasons why I've become as shy as I have in real life, why I've become as, like, timid around other people. Because I've said a lot of awkward, stupid stuff that ended up being, like, either misconstrued in one way or another, or not received well either way. And it led to a lot of, like, very intense social anxiety that has really never recovered. I am still very socially anxious, and I don't know if I ever will recover from that. I think I'll always be socially anxious. And it's because of stuff like that. And the thing is, it's like, I'm not trying to sound weird, or I'm not trying to, like, say weird things. I'm autistic. Like, I'll say something and not realize that to a neurotypical person, it sounds weird, or it sounds off, or it sounds questionable. I genuinely will sometimes not know that, not be able to tell that, because my mind doesn't work the same way as other people's. And I mean, if I do say something wrong and I'm told so, I will apologize for it, and I will, like, try to understand how what I said might be construed as wrong. And if it was something wrong, and if it was genuinely something that I should not have said, and I come to realize that, I will adjust myself. I will try to help and fix that. Because I don't ever want to, like, be rude or be gross or be weird around people. And Kinta is very much the same way here. He just wants to understand how Okarune is suddenly so close to Momo. Because Okarune is like him. They're both very nerdy. They're both very, normally very shy and timid people, right? And we see that Okarune suddenly starts hanging around Momo and Ira, and then eventually in this episode, the class president starts sticking up for him for some reason, because I guess she might have a thing for him too. She was the girl from the maid cafe or whatever, though, right? And she's definitely in the outro. But yeah, she was the girl. They showed her at the maid cafe, and they, like, made a point of showing us who she was, I believe, right? But either way. But yeah, he's seeing all of this suddenly happen with Okarune, and it's, like, confusing him. Because he wants to be popular too. But you see it when he first arrives at the school. He was singing and being flamboyant and everything, and then he just very suddenly quiets down. He gets very shy, very timid, very quiet, and it's like, that is me in a nutshell. Like when I'm talking to you guys on the camera on and doing these reactions and all, I seem a lot more put together than I am in real life. If I were talking to if I were talking to you in person, I would be very shy, very like quiet and antsy. I would be kind of like just like probably like swaying around in spot, just being very awkward and quiet, while not knowing what to say. I'm very very socially anxious, and so quieting down and everything when I end up getting around people and everything is something I have literally done. Because I also talk to myself. I don't know how common that is amongst neurotypical people, but I know other neurodivergent people like myself tend to sometimes talk to ourselves. Not everyone, but a lot of ones I've met have said that they do that too. My sister I know does it, and she's neurodivergent as well. But yeah, like I'll be like talking to myself, but then like the instant I get around someone, I just like my mouth just clamps shut. I don't know what that. I don't know, but my mouth clamps shut because I get so fucking nervous around other people, and especially with what they think of me. Because it's like it scares me. I don't want people to dislike me. I don't want them to hate me. So I get very nervous around them. I get very quiet. And Kinta is very much clearly the same way. And it's very clear he just wants people to like him. And in this case, it's very clear he like wants Momo to like him. He wants Okarun to like him. He's trying to connect with them. Even though he called Okarun his enemy, he was just being like upfront and brash about it, like he said he was going to be. He said he was going to like just be like direct and like just go out there and make himself known and everything, and he was overcompensating for it. I can't see him as annoying as I know some other viewers will, because again, I relate to him too much. I connect to him too much. I feel bad for him more than anything. Also, I think he's kind of like adorkable, just like Momo, just like Okarun, just like Ira. He's a big ass dork, and it's kind of adorable. It's kind of fun. Um, I love him trying to get Okarun's attention by walking by with the Gundam. That is so me. I've literally done shit like that. I have literally tried to get people's attention by like by doing or saying something that I think that would get their attention. And it's in a way it's cringy. It is. And I will acknowledge that as someone who has, done that stuff. But it's because of a very clear social anxiety that again, I can't hate on him for because I experienced that. Like, weirdly enough, I find him to be the most relatable so far. And, like, for better or worse, it's like, I feel like a lot of people, whether they would admit it or not, would be able to connect with him. A lot more than, like, with the likes of Momo or Okarun. Well, maybe Okarun. Okarun's pretty relatable too, but more than like with Momo, I feel it's like he feels like a more awkward version of Okarun, honestly, and it's pretty clear he's going to become part of the friend group, and I'm really happy about that because it's like it means that he's going to get friends, which he clearly needs. And so it's like I'm just I really really like him so far. I really feel like Kinta is going to be like up there with my favorite characters for relatability alone, honestly. But I'm also interested to see if like this kaiju spirit is like what he ends up connecting with. Because again, we see like our main cast outside of Momo, they all have like this connection to these spirits. So I wonder if that's going to be his. I don't know how that would manifest into a power unless he takes like a partial kaiju form. That would be cool. Um, I don't know, but I'm very excited to find out because honestly, like this is just a really strong start to this, I guess, final arc of the season. Um, but let's talk about the other part of this episode. Let's get into the kaiju stuff. So the golden ball thing that we saw last episode from Miko and Muko, we now find out kind of the origin of that. This kaiju can apparently turn invisible. It was like kind of like a human level size at first, like maybe a little taller than Okarun and Momo and all. So maybe like adult size. And it has the ability to turn invisible. And it's been going around just with the golden ball, I guess, inside of it. And for some reason, when it turns invisible, the golden ball is still able to be seen. So it kind of creates the illusion of the family jewel floating and levitating around like that. In reality, the kaiju's just been like walking around this apartment complex and all. And so we see that it seems to be very formidable. It has the ability to fight, but it's also not too strong, at least in that size, to where Momo and Okarun, as long as they can think about it and find out where it is and everything, they're able to like, well, fully find out where it is and its shape and all. They're able to stop it. Kinta also helps with being able to, because he's also a big ass nerd like Okarun, he's able to tell like how its invisibility works, which absolutely helps them. And we see at the end though, after it is, after our heroes manage to do something and manage to attack it, it does start growing into like, standard kaiju size, which is a problem because I feel like it's like with the size is going to come a lot more power, is going to come a lot more even though it's not invisible anymore, is going to come with maybe even more abilities. And I'm wondering though if it's going to be able to breathe fire or anything like that. That would be pretty crazy. And like I don't know if Momo and Okarun could handle that. Is Evil Eye going to have to come in and help? Because we know Evil Eye is significantly stronger. Like, just physically. Okarun is able to overcome that now by having learned how to, figure out his battle rhythm and all. He's found ways to be able to overcome it with his speed and whatnot. But I would still say that Evil Eye is the physically strongest of our group. I don't think Acro Ira would be able to do anything here. So, yeah, I mean, maybe Momo and Okarun will surprise me. They are getting stronger and, better with their skills themselves, so. Or maybe Kinta will somehow, again, bond with this spirit, and that'll help. Maybe it will just kind of solve this peacefully. Kind of in a very different way than the last arc did with Evil Eye. That could be very possible. I'm very curious, though, because this is, like, really cool. Like I said in the reaction, I do really enjoy Kaiju. I've grown up as a big fan of Godzilla, and so this is pretty exciting. And we already had a Godzilla reference, specifically Shin Godzilla, with the Loch Ness Monster in season one. That was a direct reference to Shin Godzilla in terms of its design and even the way it used its laser attack, its atomic breath, was very much the same as how Shin Godzilla does so. Which it's like it was just a direct reference to that, which is really cool. I really like Shin Godzilla. It's not my favorite. Honestly, -1 is my favorite. It's just that good. But I do really like Shin Godzilla too. It's the scariest one for sure. God, is it the scariest one for sure. I actually reacted to Shin Godzilla. That was one of the Halloween specials on this channel, so you should still be able to check that out. But yeah, I really dig this that we're getting a kaiju here. At the same time as we're getting our new character and everything. It's like you're just giving me all kinds of stuff to love. It's like a lovable new character I can directly relate to, who I really feel bad for and everything, and really already love. And then you have a kaiju, which is just, just great. There's no other way to put it. It's just fantastic to have a kaiju in there. And especially with a show like this, it's like we've had kaiju-sized enemies before, like the Flatwoods monster in episode 2 of season 1. But it's like we haven't actually had a full-on kaiju. Like, it's almost surprising that we haven't, The closest thing would actually, I think, be the Mongolian Deathworm. Like, I think that would actually be the closest we've had to an actual kaiju. But I don't kind of... determining what a kaiju is kind of like, I think, up to each person, like, as to everything that counts, because I think kaiju just typically means, like, giant monster. So, I mean, by the general definition, I think the Mongolian Deathworm would count. But I think most people also consider it to be a kaiju to have, like, a very specific kind of design and specific size. And, like, you think of the likes of, obviously, Godzilla, but all the other monsters in the Godzilla universe, like Mothra, and Rodan, and Gigan, and Biollante. And it's like, those are what you think of when you think of kaiju. The kinds of monsters that, like, are in a lot of cases more reptilian, but not always, because obviously Mothra's a bug. But you don't really think of a worm. Just, typically you don't. But in this case, we have a more Godzilla-like one. It's like a dinosaur with, like, the horn on its nose and everything. It's not exactly Godzilla. It's very similar, but also has its own design elements that allow it to stand apart. It's just really cool. It's just really cool. And the last thing I want to talk about here is I like how with Kinta's introduction, the cold open before the intro, it's just recontextualizing a bunch of season 1 scenes as him being there. And it's like the only scene that I think that he couldn't have possibly been in the background for is the scene with Momo and Okarune accidentally kissing. Because the thing is, it shows Miko and Muko standing behind him and like seeing the kiss, but in season 1, all we saw was Miko and Muko. So unless we're to assume that he just ran out of that area before the camera switched over to Miko and Muko's reactions, then that was completely just changed. Which I guess is possible, but I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to say. The other ones, like when he's like shown in the background, like during like shots, like where they're meeting at the gate and stuff, it's like, oh yeah, he could have easily been there or been in the background in the classroom, for example. Um, but yeah, like for that, that would be like that would just be recontextualization, I think, and just changing what the scene shows. I don't know. It's not that big of a deal either way. Um, but yeah, I really like him so far. And I want to make it clear, if you're one of the people who do find him annoying, that's fine. You're allowed to have your own opinions. Just don't be mean or rude about it. I'm not going to be mean or rude to anyone who has a different opinion than me. Just, you know, be cordial, be nice. But yeah, I like him. Like, I like him a lot. I like him because he's as awkward and weird and ridiculous as I can be. Just, also quite as nerdy. It's just, yeah, it's a little cringy, and it's supposed to be. But he's very clearly not a bad person. He's very clearly a genuinely nice person. He seems very, very cool. Seems like a good lad. Just, very awkward about it. I like him trying to, like, do the dirty talk because he hears Momo and Okarun doing it, and he thinks that that's, like, I guess, in style or something now. Which Gigi also, to be fair, made the mistake of thinking at first. But yeah, he thinks like, oh, that's like a popular joke, so I'm gonna make the joke because I want to be popular too. I want them to like me as well. And it's just like, oh no, dude, that's just gonna sound really awkward and really uncomfortable, and yeah, a little perverted, but not intentionally. He's not a pervert from what we've seen, not at all. Like he was he was enjoying Momo accosting him, but I wouldn't call him a pervert. He's just, an awkward ass nerd. Um, and I think that once he actually starts to bond with our gang, I think that he's probably going to still be weird, probably still be awkward, but I think he's going to find a lot of like happiness and even feelings of safety with them. Because that's definitely something that people like this, like myself, definitely have trouble with. Feeling safe around other people. And that safety oftentimes can just manifest as like being able to be your true self amongst them. I can imagine him geeking out with Gigi and Okarun. Like the three of them just dorking around talking about like aliens and stuff. Absolutely could see that. I could absolutely see them being just absolute dork friends. And that would be so great. And I want that for him. I want him to be part of the squad. And again, we know he's gonna be. It's very clear. But I really, really want that for him because he needs it. He he clearly doesn't have friends. He's so shy, he's so awkward, he's very much a loner, and again, this is something I can unfortunately relate to. Growing up in high school, I didn't really talk to people that much. And those classmates that talked to me, it's like we're very nice. Like I for the most part didn't have too much issue with that. I was actually bullied more in middle school than high school. But like I had people talk to me, and I did have some friends. But for the most part, I was very shy and quiet around everyone, and I didn't have much friends that I would hang out with, like outside of school or stuff. Most of my friends that I would hang out outside of school were from my church. um, and even then, all we really did was like do stuff with the church. Or there, I think there were a couple sleepovers that happened when I was in 11th and 12th grade when I was living in Georgia. But like most of my time, like before that, ninth and 10th grade and all, it's like I was very, very much a loner. And I didn't have much friend. I didn't have many friends. I only had a few here and there. Especially after I left one house, there was one house I was living in that I actually had a good amount of friends in the neighborhood. Um, but then I moved out of that area and that kind of like went away. We moved to a house where I had no friends in the neighborhood. Um, I did have one friend, my friend Derek, who ended up living nearby, and because he was my friend at the previous house, and then he, after I think he moved before I moved, and then when we moved, we ended up moving close by where he ended up being, or something like that. And so we were still able to hang out, but he was my only friend at that point, in school or out of school. And then I ended up moving again, and I kind of kept in contact with him, but not like super often. And at this new house, I had no friends. And at the school I was at, I had no friends. I had no one. In fact, my parents actually even hired like someone to um spend time with me because they were worried. It was like this I don't know how to put it. It's like it was called like Big Brother Big Sister or something, where it's like if your like kids are like having a hard time connecting with people or whatnot, you could hire basically a caseworker is a way to put it, to spend time with them and kind of get them to like open up and learn social skills and stuff. And it was basically just that. It was basically just spending time together. It was basically having a friend. Like we would play video games and go to the movies and stuff like that. Just hang out. And it was fun. But I like outside of like him, and I remember his name by the way, it was Ben. I had no other friends at that house. And then after that we moved down to Georgia. I had no friends in my neighborhood or anything, and again, it was only the friends from like church and whatnot. And I had some classmates that I was like, friendly with, but I wouldn't call them friends. Like we didn't hang out ever. So it's like I was definitely in a better position than Kinta in a lot of these cases, but there were a couple points where I had no one. Um, one of the schools I went to, like I just had no one. So it's like again, that was like where I had to like where my parents had to hire Ben to hang out with me, which is sad, but and that wasn't even the entire time. That's the thing too. It's like that wasn't the entire time we were living there. That was like the second half of the time we were living there. So for a good while there, I just had no one. So yeah, it's definitely something I can understand. Though he seems to be like I don't know, maybe to like a little bit more of a lonelier degree. But because I can understand it to some point, I do sympathize with him, and I really just want to see him become friends with everyone. Because it's like it's been great seeing like Gigi connect to the group and Ira connect to the group. Because even like with Ira and Momo always fighting, it's like you can also see how much of friends they are, how much they care for each other. They're just they fight. They mess with each other. That's how their friendship is. And they seem fine with it, so. But yeah, I just want Kinta to be part of the group, and it's clear he's going to be, so I'm just very happy that he's going to be. But after all of that sharing, got very personal today. Tell me in the comments below, what did you think of this episode, and what did you think of Kinta? And again, even if you disagree with me, even if you do find him annoying, just, be nice about it. No need to be rude, no need to, like, be, like, really aggressive about it. Just, be nice. Be cordial. But let me know your thoughts either way. And thank you so, so much for tuning in. And as always, no spoilers. Do not spoil me to anything that's going to happen in the future of this series, but especially with what's happening in the rest of this season. So for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.